Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another Magic Arena Explorer video. So today we're playing a little bit of Azorius humans. So this is not too dissimilar to the mono white humans list that you'll have seen before, but we are splashing blue in it, and there are kind of various different colour splashes you can try with the humans deck. But in this particular case, we are playing blue in order to play Mockingbird, which is X and a blue for a 1/1 flying. And you can have it enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, except it's a bird in addition to its other types, and it has flying. So this is essentially whatever we want it to be among our creatures on the battlefield. You know, if we need another Thalia's Lieutenant, then we can make a copy of that. If we want another Brutal Cathar, you know, a Coppercoat Vanguard, it kind of does all of the things. And it's a very cheap clone effect, kind of the cheapest possible, because we could clone one of our 1-drops for just 1 mana, so that's pretty neat. So yeah, that is the reason why the deck plays blue. We're also running Veteran Survivor, which is another newish card. This is a 2/1 for 1. Has survival, so at the beginning of your second main phase, if it's tapped, you can exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard, and as long as there are 3 or more cards exiled with it, it gets +3/+3 and has hexproof. So it comes down early, and when it's attacking, can just keep the opponent's graveyard in check, and eventually then becomes a very difficult threat for them to deal with. Then the rest of our 1-drops, we have 4 Recruitment Officers, so the 2/1 for 1 mana rather, that lets you search for other creatures in the top 4 cards of your library. Hopeful Initiate, a 1/2 for 1, which gets bigger with its training ability and can also destroy opponents' artifacts or enchantments. Then Dauntless Bodyguard, which can either come down on turn 1 just as a cheap attacking creature, or you can play it later to protect one of our better creatures. Then our 2-drops, so where kind of the power is of the deck. So we've got 4 Thalia's Lieutenants, 4 Thalia Guardian of Thraben, and 4 Coppercoat Vanguards. So these 2 in particular, in different ways, all beef up our creatures. And then some Get Losts as well, just to act as removal. This deck is trying to win quickly enough that the additional value you give the opponent from the map tokens, hopefully they won't have a huge amount of time to kind of make the most out of those. And then 3-drops, we have 3 Brutal Cathars, which is another form of removal, and then the kind of the finisher or the big creature of the deck is Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, 3 mana for a star 4 with vigilance, power equal to the number of creatures you control, and then creates a 1/1 human creature token tapped and attacking whenever you attack. So yeah, pretty simple humans deck. And then our mana base is not surprisingly Cavern of Souls for the kind of creature type matters. Mutavault, obviously the creature that it turns into is also a human. Some dual lands, although obviously all of our lands can produce white, because we really need to be doing that at all points in the game. A couple of Iganjos just as additional removal. And then in the sideboard, we have 3 Portable Holes and 2 Declaration in Stone. So those are some more cheap removal spells. Then our other blue card, in the entire 75, we're only running 2 cards with blue in them, but it's a good one, and it's Reflector Mage, bouncing creatures back to the opponent's hand and stopping them from casting them again the next turn. Unlicensed Hearse, good graveyard removal, could also be crewed later in the game as a big creature. Anointed Peacekeeper, human that disrupts the opponent's hand, particularly useful for getting mass removal and things which are particularly annoying for this kind of deck. And then Wedding Announcement as well, which is the enchantment that creates 1/1s and then turns into an Anthem effect. So this is kind of really for playing against opponents who have lots of spot removal or ways of kind of clearing the board, because this just churns out a steady string of creatures that it's difficult for the opponent to deal with, particularly if they are only running 1/1 removal. So yeah, that is the deck. Azorius humans should be a fun one. So yeah, let's see how we go on with this. Thank you very much for watching. As ever, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and yeah, let's go on to the ladder. Yep, this is a pretty decent starting point, I think. We'll see what the opponent's got going on. Lead with Veteran Survivor. I think I'll force them to make a choice here. Yep, that's okay. is a fatal push that isn't going at Thalia, so... That is aggressive. I like it. Let's get Adeline into play. Start doing some damage. We do have a get lost for anything particularly threatening that they might play. So I assume this is the ninjas deck. So we'll have to be wary of a... Ooh, that's fun. So I'll take that out. That can get lost. Okay, so we're definitely winning this race at the moment, but they might have a Kaito of some description coming soon. Oh, another Mockingbird, eh? So, I think this is the kind of deck where a couple of portable holes is probably decent. Apart from that, I think we're in reasonable shape against what they're doing. Trim one Brutal Cathar. Maybe one Adeline as well. They're likely to have quite a lot of removal for... Yeah. This is an awkward one, because Mockingbird can't copy Thalia, but I think we're just going to have to assume we draw into a better set of cards. Yeah, okay, so let's get the Miscreant out of the way before they start making copies of it. This is an interesting one for them. I would probably take Thalia here. Okay, no, the Mockingbird's a decent shout as well. Okay, well, let's start protecting our Thalia. Bloodpit's Drowner is a card. Let's get Veteran into play, I think. Then we have plenty of blockers, so they can't ninjutsu in their Planeswalker. That's quite annoying. Interesting choice to copy Thalia. I suppose it makes sense on some level. Lieutenant's good. So I could... Yeah, let's just get rid of their Thalia. Send in some attackers. No blocks, eh? And we've got a powerful swing on the next turn if they sort of go all in on attacking. Go for it. I'm ready to be ninjutsu'd. Yep. Ah, the bane of everyone's nightmares.
Your tech is way slim chances just make victory that much sweeter. Never underestimate my skills.
Interesting. Right, well, let's activate our Mutavault. Play Lieutenant. Well, looks like they pieced out. Yeah, this is a strong opening hand. Godless Shrine. I wonder what they've got going on. Orzhov of some description. I think there's an Orzhov version of the Demons deck. Could be that. Oh, a Tithe Taker. No, you don't see that very often. So, during your turn, spells your opponent. So, they get a token out of that. And a carrot cake. So there's some sort of tokens matter thing going on here. So I could Lieutenant, which gives me what I need to attack, which I think is fine. So let's play that on human. Let's turn Mutavault into a creature. Play Lieutenant. Wouldn't try and kill it if I were you. That's fine, it still grows the Mutavault. What does this do? Okay, so it is like, it is a food. And an Enduring Innocence as well. Which I don't really want hanging around, so let's pop that away. So yeah, they're kind of running an Orzhov tokens deck, I would assume. Ooh, what does this do? When it enters, create a 4/4. This creature can't attack or block alone. Interesting. Interesting is the word, alright. As long as you control 4 or more creature token. Okay, yep. So let's get rid of that. starting to get somewhere. Beastie Befriender. I haven't really caught up with the lore of Duskmourn, so this just looks very strange. So I think I want Reflector Mage in this matchup because they run a lot of tokens. Portable Hole is good at getting rid of their cheap creatures. I think we can trim Get Lost out of this. And Veteran Survivor as well. Let's trim 2 of those. Let's trim all of them actually and pop in a wedding announcement just to give us some toe for toe on their tokens. Can't have them getting too far ahead of us. Yep, this is good. More carrots. So I think I'm happy to get Thalia down now. Just make some of their stuff more expensive. Okay, land is good. Let's have a lieutenant. Fair enough. I can live with that. It's a turn they're not doing anything else. Now I could get rid of their carrot cake here. Or their token. Yeah, let's just pop the token, I think. Just clear the way. Yeah, I think it's time for Adeline. So that will become a 2-2. I think it's worth attacking with both. They can double block my lieutenant, but... Yep. They do just have one creature on the board now, so we are matching them at every turn. Outpacing them here. They've got 4 cards, so that's fun. Nope, okay, they have seen enough. Oh no. Okay, that's better. I'll pop back Brutal Cathar for now, I think. Ooh, what does this do? When you attack with deals target. Okay. Looks like we're playing against an aggro deck, so I'll try and avoid taking too much damage from my lands. Yeah, not blocking. Not going to fall for trick quite that obvious. Well, let's just make a copy of our Hopeful Initiate here. And then they can start to grow when we have Adeline in play. Okay, well that's burn that wasn't directed at our face, so not gonna complain too much about that. Ooh, Screaming Nemesis. It's dealt damage, so not gonna do that, I don't think. Instead, let's get rid of that. Start making some 1/1s. And hopefully they might try and crack a map on the Hired Claw. No fear. Not ideal to not draw anything but lands there. I'm kind of dead here, aren't I, either way? Just too much land. Yep. Okay, so it's a Boros aggro deck, which is fine. I think we've got some decent answers to this, mainly Portable Hole. Reflector Mage. Not get lost, I don't think, in this matchup. And let's trim a couple of hopeful initiates as well. Nope. That's not great either, but it'll have to do. Da-da-dum. Yeah, some pretty bad hands we've drawn in this batch. Okay, so they're plotting their humans, Adeline. So I can stick that in a hole in a minute. It's just how much damage they could do to me with it in the meantime. They've gone into the tank. I wonder what they're doing. Yep. Okay, so we're on the hook for a boatload of damage here, but can at least get rid of their show-off, fire up our Mutavolts. Still drawing far too much land, but Okay. How much do I want that just out the way? I think quite a lot, so let's get it out the way. Yeah, Rending Volley is a good sideboard card. Yeesh. That was a good couple of cards they had in their hand there. Am I going to make this trade? I kind of have to, because I can't go down to 3 life. Okay, well, that gives us something. Okay, this has been a pretty tough matchup. So I could copy their hired claw. It doesn't really help, I don't think. No, none of these creatures are good enough. No, I think we're scooping this one up and moving on. Yeah, it's a little painful with the lands, but... An early torch the tower, so this is Rakdos of some description. What does Fear of Missing Out do? Delirium... Well, that is certainly a card. So, let's just get a couple of creatures into play here. That does a lot for 2 mana. And an unstoppable slasher. Ugh. Yeah, I think we're just passing the turn here and hoping for the best. Fable is not ideal. Ah, that is painful. Let's attack. Yeah, pass the turn. Discarding a Fable. Ugh. Don't like how that looks. Stuck with a lot of cards we can't use here. Let's get rid of that for a moment. Right, well, we can get an Adeline down. Something. Unfortunately, it cannot currently attack. It's not looking good here. So that's just more cards for them to draw. We get up to 4. Is there anything much to be done here? I suppose I can get rid of their Archfiend before any of my creatures start dying. Have another Hopeful Initiate. So, I go to 2 at the end of their turn. Actually, at the moment, they don't have any demons, so... So the correct line here is to activate Mutavault, because then I'm dead on my draw step. But they did not do that. So I'm not quite dead. Though I am with that kind of draw, so I can't kill Shieldred. Yep. So, what am I doing against Rakdos demons? I think I need Declaration in Stone. Reflector Mage. I think I'm getting rid of Brutal Cathar. It's just too vulnerable to removal. Yeah, and Trinathalia as well. This is a tough matchup, I think. Not sure how we're going to deal with, like, if they play an Archfiend and we don't have any removal. It's just kind of sadness personified. Oh well. Yeah, I have to hope for another land so I can play the Mockingbird, but... not that particular land. Okay, that will do. Do some work for us, Adeline. Let's lose the lieutenant here. Because we might be able to get the 3 creatures exiled with Veteran Survivor. That is a risky play. So, they're going to go to... So I'm going to copy my Survivor, I think. Fire up this Mutavault. Just attack for as much damage as possible, which I think might be lethal. Yep. Okay, we had them on the back foot there. Do I want Wedding Announcement, or is it just too slow? Yeah, let's stick in a couple of Wedding Announcements in place of Thalia's. And yeah, see how we go with that. Again, this hand is just okay, because it doesn't have any actual removal. Reflective Age is pseudo-removal, so I'll try and keep my Gancho in my hand. Okay, that's pretty good. So let's have Coppercoat. So we've got some pretty speedy maneuvers going on here. Let's reflect that back into their hand. Dreams of Steel and Oil. Now that is a card you do not see that often. Okay, that could have been worse. So we get them down to 9. They can play Slasher next turn, but doesn't necessarily do much for them by itself. So it can trade with it can trade with Adeline. Right, let's have a Hopeful Initiate in play. And let's just see what they do here. What's the 1-mana removal that they could have for Adelaide? There's none that's springing to mind. I think they have to block there, yeah. So they're telegraphing a Fatal Push here quite heavily, so I think I'm just going to play Recruitment Officer. Yeah. They could have killed my Reflector Mage there, but I suppose in terms of power they're roughly similar. I don't think a 6/6 Demon is going to be enough. So let's fire off an Adeline. I think this should be sufficient. Okay, no, we did okay there in that matchup. Had a couple of quicker starts there, which I think helped. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I think any deck that can hold its own against demons in this meta is probably doing reasonably well. Ooh, let's pick up some packs, shall we? Ooh, and we get a golden pack as well. This is all coming up Millhouse. So let's start with the slightly older one. Ooh, Kellen, okay. And then we'll do some foundations. Celestial armor. Scarred Demon. So we are seeing more previews from Pioneer Masters now. So I think we've seen Oath of Nissa, a few other things. So yeah, it should be an exciting set. And yeah, that was Azorius Humans. So here is the deck list one more time. Pretty good, I think. Thank you very much for watching. As ever, let me know in the comments what you think. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.